what's going on? I just wanted to hop on and do a quick episode real quick. I usually try to do these on Monday, but I just got busy over the weekend. And I ideally like to do it with somebody that had some success or something. And everybody I know is out hunting. So, kind of things I want to talk about, I wrote down a couple topics here that I want to talk about. The first one was not this last weekend, but the weekend before. So let's see, what was the date on that? The first weekend in October, we had that big cold front move in. And for me, I don't know about you guys, but for me, it was a bust. I didn't see anything. I mean, I saw a couple does and stuff, but I didn't see anything. And one day I hunted a field edge, and one day I hunted deep in the woods on some acorns. And both days I didn't see anything. And checking my trail cameras, they all look dead too. So it seems like time of year trumps weather changes to me. That's kind of a lesson I learned and to write down in my book. So I'm not going to get that excited about early season cold fronts anymore. Now, this last weekend, we had a cold front come in and I did see an increase in movement, and I was actually out hunting and had 3 does out in front of me. And then from the wood line came out a pretty decent buck, probably about a 2.5-year-old. Probably about 90-inch rack on him. And he was grunting his head off, chasing the does around. So he was starting to feel it for sure, which gets me pretty excited. I'm noticing a big uptick in scrapes, and they're making them all over. So we're getting close. So this weekend is not looking that great for hunting. Still pretty warm. I'll probably still be out. But Halloween weekend is looking great. Big cold front moving in here in Tennessee anyway, Tennessee, Kentucky area. So that's definitely where I'm going to be. So one of the topics I want to talk about, so that was a cold front bust. Next one I want to talk about was just because I'm a military guy, so tactical patience in the October lull. So a lot of people say that the October lull isn't real and deer are moving just as much as ever. And that may be true from a scientific standpoint. But in my mind, if the deer are getting up and feeding around in their bedding area, and I'm not in their bedding area, then that's not any different to me than being nocturnal. I mean, I can only get so close to a bedded deer. And obviously he's going to have to come out for me to be able to get him. So whether he's standing around feeding, the size of your living room, I mean, unless you're trying to beat him back in the morning, that's the only way that I see it going. And for me, I have a buck that's consistent that I'm trying to kill on private, but I don't know exactly where he's bedded. And I've been moving cameras around trying to figure that out. But I don't know enough to try to get in there in the morning to hunt him. So I'm just being patient. I'm trying to not go in, not disturb the area, not let him know he's being hunted, and just kind of set it up so that when the time is right, that's the time to go in there and get him. Now, my public areas, I still want to go hunting, and I still like to see deer and stuff. So now's the time. If you got some public areas, go try somewhere new out. Go try that spot on a map that you've never looked at before and swing for the fences. Why not? What are you going to do? Booger up a spot you've never been to before and you don't plan on going back during the rut? Oh, well, Or I would say that this is the time for your pre-rut checks, your pre-combat checks here. So things you need to do, go through those cameras. If you have cell cameras, go through the list and see the last time that they checked in. There might be a camera that hasn't checked in a month and you haven't realized it. Well, obviously something's not working right with that camera and it needs to be removed and replaced with a non-cell camera so you can free up that to use a cell camera somewhere else that you're going to be able to get service. Maybe the batteries are dead. Now is a great time to make that final push to go change those batteries, change the solar packs if you need to be able to get those cameras through season so that you can start to see when the chasing happens. If you place them with batteries now, I would say they should last through November easily. And then I would say I take the last week of October and start putting them on pick in video mode if they have the option, or video mode, because that way I can see when the chasing happens. You might be able to see a doe run through and get her on camera. But I found last year when I went and got my cameras and I actually looked at the SD cards, what I wasn't seeing was the bucks that were running behind the does, and I didn't see that information. So about the last week, October, try to look at those. Maybe move them, go out and do some last minute scouting and scout the areas. And now is a great time to find those scrapes and then move your cameras to the scrapes. I love putting cameras over scrapes. It's just, you know that they're going to come by and hit it. You know, they can't help it. Freshen those scrapes up, peen them yourself. Go into your computer, look at last year's trail camera data, and start building that historical data. Get a notepad out with a calendar or an Outlook calendar and write down, if you had a shooter buck somewhere, write down on this year's date where that buck was last year. You know, odds are he's going to be moving into the area about that time. So why not cut him off, or at least try to get a camera in that area or something and see if you can get him 2 years in a row in the same area. Your leg up if you already know that he's coming. If you got equipment, now's the time to check it. Get out there with your bow. I noticed that the other day that my back bar on my stabulator was almost touching my string, and the bolt had loosened up and had turned. So go through your bow, go out there, shoot your bow, shoot your broadheads. If you have a backup bow, go out and shoot your backup bow and make sure everything's ready to go. This is the time to get oil change on your car. Do you need new tires? Do you need new air filters? I mean, this time, if you're using an e-bike, does it need a new chain? Is it rusted? Does the battery need to be charged? Are the tires inflated? This is the time to go through your stuff and make sure it's ready for season. Because the last thing you want to do is, it's November 7th, it's a cold front, and you got to take your truck to the shop to get an oil change, or you got to do this or that. You got to paint the deck or something. So take this next week and really get everything together. Put new lights or put new batteries in your headlamp. Fill your batteries and your trail cameras. I mean, just if you have something, make a list, get that stuff done. If you have new areas you want to go try hunt, if you want to go put cameras out in new areas, now is the time to do it. And don't wait. Another thing I'm thinking about trying is, we're almost entering the time, I would say, for some rattling. I'm checking my trail cameras, and I'm getting a lot of sparring on my trail cameras. So they're not going to think that it's odd if they hear that noise. Will they come running in? I don't know. I like to rattle, but to me, hunting is fun. If I don't kill a giant buck, then oh well. If I don't kill a whole buck all year, oh well. I don't need to kill a buck to create content, you know. So that's just not me. I'm there to have fun, and sometimes that's rattling and calling because it's fun to do, and it beats just sitting in the tree and staring at a field all day, or an acorn flat, or whatever you're hunting. You know, sometimes it just breaks it up. It's fun. I did a podcast on my top 3 cell cams. I don't like SpyPoint at all anymore. I would take that off the list. And I had Tacticam and Exodus as a 1 and 2, with Tacticam being the number 1. And man, I run a lot of cell cameras because I hunt a lot of land. I hunt, 3 different states, and 2 of those states, public land that's 15,000 acres each or more, like 5 private parcels, just all over. So I run a lot of cameras. I mean, I don't know why I feel like I have to justify that. I mean, run as many cameras as you want. It's fun. If it's legal and it helps you kill a deer, or if it doesn't help you kill a deer, I get excited about getting pictures at night. That's my favorite time of night, is cell camera check-in time. I have them check in once or twice a day, and that is my favorite part of the night, when I get to look at the pictures of those bucks and start formulating a plan. Fun part about deer hunting to me is kind of like that strategy, that formulating a plan. But getting back to my point is, I don't know if anybody else has had this problem, but I loved my Reveal 2.0s so much last year. I would have bought stock in the company if it would have been an option. but something has happened that's draining my batteries. And I run a lot of them, and I would say not the majority, but I would say about 1/4, maybe 1/5 of my cameras are draining batteries quickly. And I'm using lithium batteries, or I'm using lithium of their power packs. And some of them I'm using a solar panel, which even if it doesn't get the sun, if it's fully charged, that's another battery. And I'm having die within weeks, where I know when I put these out last year, I put lithium batteries in there. And if I only had them check in once or twice a day, they basically lasted me almost the entire season. So it's crazy that this is happening now. And online, I'm seeing that a lot of people, this is happening to them. So I don't know what the issue is, but it's something because I'm not the only one. And I feel like I kind of know what I'm doing. I'm not just having these send constantly. I'm not having all the settings on the brightest, most crisp image, yada, yada, yada. The things that eat up batteries. I know what eats up batteries. And I'm purposely not doing them so that those can stay out there. I put one out the other week and it died within a week. And I mean, that's fresh lithium batteries. So, and those aren't cheap, so that's super frustrating. So I would say, I still say the reveals are number 2. If you can get them and they work great. I don't like the paying at least $5 a month for them, but what are you going to do? I would say my number 1 is now the Exodus. I like that they're all on the same plan. And all of my batteries in the Exodus, I put them out in, I think, August, and all of them are still at 100%. Now, maybe they're lying to me, maybe they're not, but they seem to be working perfectly fine. So to me, the basic things that a trail camera needs to do is it needs to take pictures when the deer are there, and it needs to last, and you just don't have to worry about it. That's my problem with spy points is I can tell you so many times that I have a spy point in an area that I'm hunting. I go out there and I'm hunting deer, and I have a handful of deer come in. I don't get a single picture on my camera of those deer. I mean, it's insane. I mean, they walk right in front of it and it doesn't go off. So I don't know. Not talking shit. Maybe it works. I guess I am kind of talking shit, but hopefully they work for you guys if you like them. But for me, it's Exodus or Tactacam or probably nothing. I don't know. I've heard some good things about HuntWise, and I use their Hunt Control app where I take all the other competitors' cameras photos and I download them to my computer and I upload them into their app, and then it sorts them by date and shows you the weather and the moon, and then gives you statistics and stuff, and you can plot them on a map and stuff. So that's pretty cool. I haven't been using it that much this year, but I like to do that as a place to put all my historical photos. That's pretty cool. Now the Exodus cameras also link with your Onyx, which is pretty cool. You can put that on there and then link it to your Onyx. And when you click on that camera, you go to photos and your photos come right up. So that's pretty cool. I've never seen that before. And the last thing I want to talk about is I want to say congratulations to my friend Sam. He killed a buck during the lull, quote unquote, and he did it by patterning a buck, scouting, and doing it right. He didn't just get lucky. I mean, he has been on this buck for a month now. And that's the thing about the lull is, yes, you can absolutely kill deer, but you need to be on them. You're probably not going to luck into one like you can on the rut during the lull. But he knew where the buck was bedded. He knew where he was going during the day, and he had this thing patterned. And he waited till the right time to strike. He took that tactical patience and didn't go in there and muck up the spot and waited to go in there and kill that buck. And he did. And it's a beautiful buck, and I'm going to have him on here. And we're going to talk about it. But it was really cool because he gave me a call and he's like, hey, do you know anybody with a dog? Because he's an older gentleman. He's in his 70s. And I think he shoots about 60 pounds and he's shooting a mechanical. And the deer was so close that it was almost a straight down shot. And it took a step as he was shooting it. And I think he got basically liver mostly. But he didn't get an exit wound. Well, if you shoot a deer up top and you don't get an exit wound on the bottom, you don't get a very good blood trail. It's hard for the blood to go against gravity and come out the top, if that makes sense. So he was really concerned about that. And this season, I happened to buy one of those drones, and everybody that's saying illegal, I talked to Tennessee, and they said, hey, if you're using it on private property and you're not using it to hunt, then that's legal with us. And I have that in writing. So, but anyway, so I took it out there and I said, hey, man, I'm just being real with you. I'm probably not going to find your deer. And I do this for fun. I don't have a business or anything. And this is actually the first time I've used it. I just kind of wanted one. I bought one of the cheaper thermal version, and not the super expensive one, which the cheaper one is still super expensive. But anyway, I was like, hey, Sam, I'm probably not going to find this deer. Contrary to popular belief, these things don't see through leaves. They're not magic. So it's a pretty thick area you're hunting. Why don't you go ahead and get a dog contacted and put him on standby? So he did. And the guy was going to come out that evening. So I went and flew my drone around. Couldn't find his deer. And then just decided, hey, I got one more battery left. We're about an hour in. I give you about 30 more minutes before I try to go hunting myself. And I'm just going to grid search this thing. I'm just going to fly it back and forth. And I'm going to come down real low. So I come down, 50 feet over the trees probably. And, the area that sees is so small when you're that low. But you get a lot better heat signature. So I just happened to be flying. I happened to see a sliver of heat. And I mean, the deer show up bright red because I did see some does. Because at first I thought it wasn't working because I was only getting dark spots all over. But I saw a sliver of red. And I said, oh, that's something there. So I got a different angle, switched it to the daytime. And there was a dead buck lying on the side of the hill. And he was pretty excited we found his buck. But so we went in and we blood trailed the deer, and we took the grid off of the drone. And you know what? We walked right past the deer because the deer had run downhill, and there was a steep ravine, and he did open up, and we did have some blood about halfway, and then he closed back up, it seems, or he was standing in locations and bleeding. But we went to the bottom of the hill down into a creek and we couldn't find him. And I said, let me see that grid. And he was behind us. And I was like, that's weird. We must have walked right past him. So I went up the hill and I looked, and with no sign or anything, he had fallen. I don't know if he went down the hill and died or if he fell down the hill, but he was tangled up in some brush in an unnatural way. So he had died on the run or something, but he had slid down the hill. Now, if we had gone in there and grid searched, I don't know if we would have found them there. If we had a dog, I guarantee that dog would have found it. But it was nice that he didn't have to wait till that evening for the dogs to show up. Because I don't know what this controversy going on between dogs and drones is, and I don't know why the two parties can't work together, because drone guys shouldn't hate dogs and dog guys shouldn't hate drones. I mean, you're trying to do the same thing and be a team and recover an animal for a person so that the animal doesn't go to waste. And you're probably saving more deer too, because I know for a fact when people shoot a buck and they don't find it, they don't just check that tag most of the time. They're out there trying to kill another buck. So, which more bucks just leads to bigger bucks, and it's good for everybody to me. But I mean, I'm not looking to start a company. I just have it for fun to use with friends and family. If a guy lives close and he calls me up and he wants me to come look, I'll do it. It's fun. But if I was starting a business, I tell you what I'd do. I'd have a dog and I'd have a drone, and I'd be a 2-person team. Because if you could have the dog out there and have a drone do an overwatch, I mean, you're going to find that deer if it's dead for sure. So I don't know if that's anybody's business plan, but that sure would be a good one. So I just wanted to hop on here before I go to work. And I think that's all I wanted to talk about. Try to get one of these out this week. I'm going to try to have Sam on sometime this week. And sorry, my cat wants to say hi. And talk about, patterning and killing that deer and the hard work and perseverance that it took. So thanks for listening. This was a short one, but I'll be back out there. Good luck to everyone. Season only gets better from here on out. So if you've been sitting back and waiting, get your shit done this week. Give yourself, 7 days. Get the honeydews done. Get the yard mowed if you're still doing it. Get everything taken care of around the house. Check your gear. Check your vehicle. Stage your gear. Stage your vehicle. However you need to be successful. So now is the time to do that before the final push, because it's going to be a long, grueling one through November. All day sits out there when it sucks, but you got to be out there in the rut to make it happen. Okay. Good luck, everyone.